is usefully provocative. Central banks can produce stability, they can produce growth. No, they cannot produce growth over the medium term and long term. And there is a real risk in the world at the moment that because central banks can support growth in the short run, they can and are in the States and in Europe, that the world will slip back into thinking, and even central bankers will slip back into thinking, that they are generators of growth. No, they are not. They can provide a platform of stability where a market economy allocates resources and effective investment will produce, and education will produce growth over the long run. And central banks, once they get through this difficult phase, they need to screech from the rooftops that they are not producers of prosperity. They are producers of stability. And of course, we failed to do that in the West. And it's enough just to concentrate on that. In terms of the particular question you ask, I hope so. I think this macroprudential thing is very challenging in two senses. First of all, some countries have got a well-articulated macroprudential regime, as it happens. My country, the UK, does, and I guess I was one of the architects of that. The US doesn't really, not for no other reason that the Dodd-Frank legislation was kind of done and dusted by 2010. And this idea of really needing a completely different type of regime was hardly out of its blocks then. In Europe, it's somewhere in between. The euro area doesn't. The EU has a macroprudential regime. The euro area does not. And I think that investors around the world are going to have to get used to asking tough questions about local macroprudential regimes in the way they have learned to ask those tough questions about monetary policy. The other really big challenge is precisely the one that the governor identifies, which is tactical adjustment. So if this amounts to tweaking regulatory requirements, as I think of it, sustain the desired degree of resilience in the system as one enters phases of exuberance or of kind of depressed animal spirits. This is regulation not on the model of very long notice and common rulemaking that exists, say, in the United States, where by the time you finish the consultation and tweak the rule, the boom that you were trying to dampen down has blown itself out and possibly blown up the world. And this is a real challenge, because what it amounts to doing, if you're going to say the governors can have more flexibility, then let's be clear, that means that they have more power. And that power, therefore, needs to be well designed. So the 2 points are the same, actually, which is that I think we do need these regimes. We do need to give the governors more power, but that power needs to be boxed. Why have they got it and what's it for, rather than just saying, hey,